Hello, my friends. Happy New Year. I took a break from doing some crochet tutorials and did this sewing tutorial for this tote bag. I will say I do not include a tutorial for this square, and this fabric was pre-quilted. So this is a very basic, simple, unlined tote tutorial. Mine just looks like it has some extra detailing, but it's just based on my fabric choices. So, simple tote bag tutorial. Here we go. Okay, for this bag, I'm starting with these two rectangles, which are 36 by 4. Two rectangles that are 18 by 13. And for mine, I'm sewing this little patch that I made a while ago to the front. And I'm going to leave the top open so that it's kind of like a big front pocket. If you want to make some kind of pocket, my square is 10 by 10, including the ruffle, 9 by 9, not including it. Honestly, I would make it a little bit smaller than that on this bag. I had made the patch without knowing where it was going. And then this piece that's going to be the bottom of the bag is 12 by 6. And if you do different numbers, basically you want this little section and that little section added together to be the same length as this one so that we make clean corners later. Here we're moving over to our ironing board. I have mine on the cotton setting for my type of fabric. And then I'm just gonna go ahead and smooth it out. These are straps, by the way. Okay, so our straps are 4 inches wide. I'm gonna fold each side about 1/2 inch towards the middle on both edges. So go ahead and finish up pressing both of those edges in. And then we're gonna bring this edge up to the top edge and line those up. And then press this strap so that it stays folded in half, basically. So we're putting a crease on the other side of the completed strap. So your two folded edges are meeting, and then the other side is a crease. And I'm just going kind of slow to make sure that those edges are lining up as well as they can, because you can't always fix that on the sewing machine, but it's easiest if you just go ahead and get that pressed evenly now. Oh, and then once you do this, repeat those steps for the second strap, so then you have 2 of them. Okay, we are moving over to our machine, and we're basically just gonna sew a straight seam to keep our strap together. So right where those 2 creases meet, put a seam all the way down there. Once you've done that seam, you can barely see it, I used white thread. But once you've done that seam, it's up to you if you want to put another seam on this side of the strap. I'm gonna go ahead and do it because I like the way it looks. But if you want to only do the one seam, you can be done with your straps. Once you have that strap good to go, just set it aside and do the exact same thing for the other one. So I went ahead and pinned my straps on both sides 5 inches in from the edge of the bag. And then I also pinned right sides together, the side of the bag and our little bottom piece. And I made sure to pin them each 3 inches in from the edge, because remember this one is 6 inches long, So we want 3 inches on both of these. Hey friends, just me from the future with our finished bag. Okay, right here, I'm saying that we are about to do these seams. Before you do that, and I mention it later, but I just want to catch you now in case you're doing this like kind of following me as I go. This seam right here is the side of that bottom piece. Serge that edge before you do these seams, if you can catch it. I go back and just do seam picking a little bit, but if you can save yourself, serge all raw edges that you can see that are eventually just going to be part of a seam. This is going to be our first seam. So start where the bottom piece starts. You don't have to start all the way over here. So for me, that's my first pin, and stitch until you get to the other edge right there. Once you've done that seam, I went as close to the edge as I could. Go ahead and zigzag or serge this edge right here, just so that it looks a little bit nicer, because this bag is not going to have a lining. So it does look nice, but I realized I should have serged the sides of this bottom piece before I pinned it. So I'm going to do my best to do that now. Hopefully, maybe you can save yourself. Oh my gosh, I'm all over the place. Okay, I also just realized that this is also a good time for me to attach my pocket. So if you made a pocket and lined it up, I would go ahead and stitch that on now before you do anything else. Me from the future again, just a heads up. So my patch would have made a really cute pocket, but you'll see me later just going ahead and seaming it at the top. So this is just a patch now, it is not a pocket, because I just didn't think about the fact that all of my seams in here were raw edges, and I don't like that. Like when I reach my hand into the pocket, I don't want to touch raw seams. So I should have lined the pocket if I wanted to use it as a pocket. So do that. Like line your pocket so you don't have any raw edges if you're going to use it as a pocket. If not, and you made the same mistake as me, just close it up here and then you just don't have a pocket. And like that kind of stinks, but it's okay. So anyway, so moving forward, I'm going to talk about it like it's a pocket, but mine ends up not being one. You can obviously do this however you want. Since mine has this ruffle, I'm going to zigzag where the edge of the square meets the ruffle so that hopefully it kind of hits this green seam right here. And I'm starting at the top right corner of the pocket. And then once I get all the way down to this corner, I'll turn and go this way. And then I'll turn and go this way. And then I'll stop up here to leave this open. So this is actually where we should be at this point. So for me, I just kind of like undid the corners here and then serged and then just put a second serge line across here. And so now you can't even really tell what I did. Once you get the other side of the bag pinned back on, go ahead and do the same thing. So we're going to do a straight stitch here just to keep the bottom in place. And then we're going to serge from this corner all the way down to this corner just so that our edges are finished. Our next step is going to be taking the whole bag at this point, right sides together, and we're going to straight stitch the sides of the bag, the sides, and then after straight stitch we're going to serge. Once we have our sides either zigzagged or serged, we're going to do the corners. And so this is kind of what this looks like. You just want to line up this seam with as close to the middle as you can get of this piece. You can measure if you want. And then on mine, I kind of had to go over some seams again. So which side is it? The side that's made up of the body of the bag is a little bit longer than the bottom, like a teeny tiny bit. So I'm just going to make sure that that seam is in there and then still just make a straight line all the way across, and these seams will just roll a little bit more into the bottom. But if they're the exact same length, then this will form a corner. And so that will form a corner if your measurements came out perfect. Mine obviously did not. We're gonna do the same thing on the other side. So I'm gonna find the middle of the bottom piece. I'm gonna pin, just like stick a pin in there. And then line up this seam with this pin and pin the two pieces together. And then kind of just adjust. Obviously you won't be like holding it up in the air, so that you have two straight lines. Our bag is starting to take shape. So now here, where this is pinned, we're just gonna straight stitch to make the corners of the bag. So we're gonna straight stitch these two sides together. And this is why we serged before, because now after that straight stitch, these edges will just be complete. So we will be good to go. And now we have one of our corners done. So just go ahead and do that on the other side. Oh, now go ahead and turn this right side out. Be careful if you already pinned your straps on. If you have not, go ahead and do that now, once you get this flipped. Because we want to finish the top just as pretty as we finished everything else. But here is our bag so far. So cute. Okay, anyway, so I decided on the straps that I wanted to take 2 inches off, so I took 1 inch from each attach spot, and I'm just gonna straight stitch the straps onto the bag as close to the top as I can get them. Once you have it so that your straps aren't going anywhere, go ahead and serge around the edge, because look at how nice and pretty the inside looks. We want this part to look like that too. So serge along here. You could trim these first. I'm just gonna cut them off with the blade, but if you're doing a zigzag, you're gonna need to cut off any excess strap that you have. Okay, so now we just have all edges and seams that look very nice. So I'm gonna flip this back inside out, and we are gonna hem the top. Whoa. So however you wanna do this is totally fine. I'm gonna fold mine over about 1/2 inch and stitch along the edge that I made. Make sure that your straps though are out of your bag when you're doing this, because you don't want to accidentally sew them like in place. So we are gonna grab the bag later, but you want the bag to be out, and we're just gonna run over it right here for now. So here's where we are with this pinned. So just like this, straight stitch along the edge that we have already completed. So once you have this hem complete, your straps will be attached, but when you carry it, since there's this gap here, your edge will kind of roll. So to avoid that, we're gonna put a straight stitch at the very edge of the edge of the bag on top of the strap on all 4 of them. Okay, I'm gonna stop there. You can do some other seams on here if you want to kind of make them look more detailed on the outside. I'm not gonna risk it. So this is when it's inside out, and then I'm just gonna flip it. And then trim all my threads. And then I am good to go. Oh, how cute. And if you didn't add a patch, it's still so cute. Like the plain side, I love it.